Wii, but it's good. I mean, it's it's passable. It's as good as the Wii.
Oh
So,
wow, that's actually kind of a backhanded compliment about the Wii.
well, that's the thing. It's I mean, the Wii is it is what it is. It's a fun thing, and it's not hardcore gaming. But I mean, have you played any games on the Apple TV yet, Tom?
One second.
Yes, I played Crossy Road.
Who's not going to play that one?
That's like the combat of Apple TV.
Yeah.
No, I don't care. I mean, I
Yeah.
made myself play it so that when someone like you asked me that question, I could say
Yeah.
yes, I did try it.
Yeah, it's not like it's not the one you would get all, but we did get Just Dance, which is free. And that's a fun party game, at least, So, I mean, it is, that's what I mean. It's like, if it's between the Apple TV or the Wii, I probably would have chosen the Apple TV because you can do so much more with it than the Wii. So, but I think Nintendo, just like Sega had, I think Nintendo would be a good place to put some of their games.
The Wii U has all of the things that the Apple TV has. It has an app store. It has.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a little harder to use. It has Hulu and Netflix. It's just.
It's the control. It's way too big.
Yeah.
It's enormous. I don't really know. Yeah. Doesn't, and then you only get, I don't know. I don't really know.
Thank you, W. Scottus One. Noticed that my headroom was high because this chair. I had brought this chair up.
I've got the same problem right now. Burp, burp, burp.
Your hair's looking good though, man.
Me? Oh, thanks, man. This is yesterday's hair.
It's looking good.
Wow,
Actually, I've
day
had
old
a-
hair.
Yeah, I need to put up. I keep saying this, that I've got like 30 more that need to go up. I think I might just like reface them to the wall of Len.
The Wall of Len. All right, shall we get this show on the road?
Yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
Here we go.
Oh, I gotta go away.
Bye.
In a world where technology changes faster than the human race can adapt, there's only one place to turn. The Daily Tech News Show with Tom Merritt and guests. But they need your help. Go to dailytechnewsshow.com to find out how.
This is the Daily Tech News for Friday, January 29th, 2016. I'm Tom Merritt. Joining me today, Darren Kitchen, back on a Friday. How's it going, Darren?
Hey, it's so good to be here. It's good to have the core cast.
You're coming through particularly open sourced right now.
Oh, yeah. I got one of those core utilities I needed from Windows working in Wine, which means that Linux just went from my secondary monitor to my primary monitor.
Look at you.
Very exciting.
Awesome. Also joining us today, Mr. Len Peralta, who will be illustrating the episode. What's good, Chef Len?
Major key alert. I don't know. I have nothing. Nothing's new. It's got some egg white omelets, turkey bacon.
Yeah.
It's good. Yeah.
I can't wait to see what you've drawn today. We're going to be talking about cardless ATMs. So at least we gave you an object to deal with instead of an abstract concept.
It's it's been a long week. Let's just say that. So we'll see what I
All
come
right.
up with.
Fair enough. I'm intrigued.
Yes.
Meanwhile, Darren Kitchen, we've got some headlines to talk about, shall we?
Let's shall.
EA might have spilled the beans on lifetime sales of Xbox Ones. Ars Technica reports that CFO Blake Jorgensen of EA said that combined install base of Xbox One and PS4s for EA had hit 55 million units. He said this on an EA earnings call. His point was that, we have a big installed base out there to sell our games into. But journalists quickly ran for their calculators because Sony has previously announced, in fact, they announced January 5th, that they have sold 35.9 million PS4s. And if you take 55 million minus 35.9 million, you get around 19 million units. And that would be, presumably, how many Xbox Ones have sold. Microsoft stopped reporting console sales in October 2015, so this is certainly an unofficial number. Jorgensen added both consoles were outperforming their predecessors at the same point in their life cycle by 50%. He said they had, quote, exceeded virtually everyone's forecast for the year.
You see, I'm not buying that, their predecessor's forecast number as having any bearings in this day and age, considering the fact that for the Xbox, we're talking about what its predecessor being the 360, that came out in 2005, and that was a totally different landscape. I mean, it did really well because the time was different. Now we're in a place where smartphone gaming is a reality. PC gaming is on the rise. Latest IDC numbers shows growth of 26% a year, and that's expected to increase when we see VR headsets really hit the market. And as we know, PCs are much quicker to adapt to these kinds of changes than when you take a look at historically, like the Xbox, coming out to 2001, 2005, 2014. I mean, that's 9 years. So I'm hoping that they can adapt quicker. But I'm just stating that I'm not buying this like, oh, we did as good as we did last time. That's like.
Yeah, but EA's point in saying that is we're selling lots of titles, so I don't see why. It wouldn't really be in their interest because they don't care. They sell titles to PCs too. They're just saying like, hey, look at that. Look at these console numbers. That's pretty good for us.
Well, yeah. I'm sure Sony's out.
Yeah, and 19 million is quite a bit behind 35.9 million, which is definitely why Microsoft is not touting the Xbox One number.
Mm-hmm.
According to Bloomberg, people familiar with the plans say that Apple is developing a new wireless charging technology with Asian partners, companies in Asia, for release sometime in 2017. The tech would charge devices at a distance, unlike most current wireless charging tech where you actually have to set the thing on a pad. Apple took out a patent in 2010 for using near-field magnetic resonance to wireless charge devices up to a meter from an iMac. In fact, they take out lots of patents, so that doesn't mean it too much, but it would apply in this case if Bloomberg is right. I like the idea of anybody being able to put something that'll make it easier for me to charge just by setting my device down wherever I usually set it down.
Now, this is good stuff, and I'll be the first to say I love a lot of Apple's tech. Like, for instance, their magnetic connector for the power charging is brilliant. I just kind of wish that the patent stuff weren't as patenty, because this is the kind of stuff that I would love to see like in more places. So I guess I'd be more excited if Apple announced that it was joining one of the, what are we down to, two consortiums for wireless power at this point.
Definitely. I 100% agree with that. Like, have a consortium where we can all interoperate and plug in our devices no matter which devices we have. That would, and not plug in. I'm old school. I mean, charge our devices.
Near it.
Yeah.
And you know what? They could still get a lot of brand loyalty and kind of just good vibes from that. If it's like, oh yeah, here's our cool technology. Let's, they could actually sway one particular consortium or another from winning the wireless charging race if they had some awesome tech that they could bring to the table and say, like, you guys can have it as long as we get a little Apple logo everywhere, kind of like how we have the Windows key on modern keyboards everywhere, even if you're running Linux, So it's like, get your little nod there, right?
Yeah.
It might be worth, well, anyway, wishful thinking.
Fingers crossed. Maybe it'll still happen. The Financial Times reported Friday that Apple has acquired an augmented reality company called Flyby Media. Now, we've been hearing a lot of people talk about the possibility of Apple creating a VR headset. They've certainly been prototyping and messing around with it. They've hired people in this space. Here's what's interesting about Flyby Media. They were working with Google on tech that allows mobile devices to see the world around it. In fact, Flyby was the vision-based software partner for Google's Project Tango. So Apple just stole away a key partner of Google's. Apple purchased German AR firm Mateo in May last year and motion sensing firm PrimeSense, which had worked on the Kinect back in 2013. So now you've got Apple owning a little bit of an augmented reality firm, a little bit of a Kinect sensor firm, a little bit of a Project Tango firm. So the mind boggles what might come out of that.
An Apple TV. No.
It'll just be an Apple TV. That would be sad. Facebook posted on Thursday it will close its Parse mobile application development backend service. If you use Parse for your app, you'll have until January 28th, 2017 to transition. There are about 600,000 apps estimated to have been built on the platform or using the platform. Facebook is providing a migration tool to move to any MongoDB database, and another tool can set up an existing work to run on a Node.js server. Thanks to derickito for posting this in the subreddit.
Yeah, this seems to always be the fear, at least as a software developer, that one day your platform is just going to be end of life. And I feel for everybody. I mean, I know I've been there, where even with chips, it's the same industry there. And I get that everything can't be supported forever. We're not still writing apps for CPM. But, I hope that this is one of those things that can follow some of the other trends that we've seen from big companies lately, which is when something, maybe it doesn't work out, it's okay. You give it to the open source community, and then it can thrive at least that way. And that can go a long way to maintaining developer trust, which is really important when you're trying to be a platform. So that seems to be a trend. I feel like if you're going to move away, the closest open source alternative that I've seen is Developed or Learn Engine or DataKit. But no, it looks like a really slick platform. But yeah, these just come and go. It's sad.
Well, and it's significant from the end of Facebook getting out of this. Less than a year ago, they were touting this as an Internet of Things platform, which now, in retrospect, looks like a last-ditch effort to make it successful. And this is a big capitulation by Facebook to say, well, we are not going to be competing with Microsoft and Google and Apple to be a back-end provider for app services. And granted, Apple does it within their own ecosystem and only within their own ecosystem. Microsoft is doing it for multiple ecosystems. But yeah, Facebook will not be competing in that arena.
It does seem like whenever there's a new market, whatever it be, Internet of Things or drones or pick something, like everybody, of course, VR is going to flock to try to be the platform. To have that ecosystem, because we'll talk about Amazon in a bit, but that's where the money is. But it just sucks because what happens is when you make these promises to developers and you just put it out there like we're going to be this thing, and then when you have to go and say like it didn't work out, that's a tough thing to spin and still get still keep warm fuzzies.
Yeah. Captain Kipper wanted us to mark a change to an early internet stalwart, Slashdot. Slashdot Media, which also owns SourceForge, along with Slashdot, has been sold to a firm out of San Diego and Petaluma. At least those are their two addresses listed on the website. BizX. It seems like they mostly run a lot of travel-oriented sites. Phosphorus.com reports credible sources tell it Slashdot has now had layoffs as well, with many longtime employees leaving.
It's really interesting to see kind of the rise and fall of Slashdot as compared to some other forums of the era, say FARC, for example, which still has a very thriving community, but it never tried to, peak and become that more than what it was, really. And it's a far cry from the story of, say, Dig, but I feel like there's really interesting lessons to be learned here, and it's just a reminder that the internet is ever-changing. Reddit is on top right now, but it won't always be king. At one point, MySpace was the place to be. Yeah, and then
Craigslist is even not nearly as top of mind as it used to be. It used to be the thing people talked about.
I would say that Craigslist is the FARC. In this case, because it's just staying core, it's true to its values, and it will always do well, and there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, I've had people tell me all the time, like, Hack 5's a failure because you're not trying to be, this major explosive thing, and I'm just, like, happy staying good and small.
Where's your growth curve?
Yeah, exactly. It's like, but, yeah.
I've been told, and I'm sure you've been told, like, you'll never get acquired doing it that way.
Yes.
To which I reply, yes, that's fine.
Exactly. Also, I just want to point out that I would really love everybody to take the moment as we're discussing Slashdot, and who knows where this leads us. Hopefully, it will pick up and get even better and back to its roots and stuff. But I feel like we should all imagine a Beowulf cluster of Cowboy Neil in Soviet Russia running Linux with Natalie Portman and hot grits down his pants.
Yes, absolutely. Slashdot was the thing that helped save me when I started. One of the roots of me doing this kind of show was preparing Top Talk topics for the screensavers back in 1999, and Slashdot was a huge resource for that. I loved building up my karma points back in the day on Slashdot. So, yeah, it is. I would like to see them make a rebound.
Yeah, I wouldn't be. I've got the same. I bet everyone in IRC right now could tell us their Slashdot story. Yeah. I was the same way, and it's funny that we were talking about that one core utility that I just got working in Wine on Linux. Is actually a tool that I only got used to. It's actually a screen reader, text-to-speech engine that reads like 900 words per minute, which I somehow understand. It's faster than my eyes can do it, and I only got used to reading content that way because when I would work an office job, I was allowed to wear headphones, but I wasn't allowed to goof off and read Slashdot all day. So I'd just keep it in a small browser window and I'd read every comment, but I'd just have it read to me. So anyway, it's easy to get sucked into the I think we even have a Hack 5 parody from 2005 about the Slashdot patch to get over your addiction.
Nice.
So it's really come a long way.
This will be our main discussion topic as well. Charlotte Observer reporting that Bank of America said Wednesday it will allow customers to use their phones to make ATM transactions by the end of the year. The bank will test the service with employees starting in February in Charlotte, New York, Boston, and the San Francisco Bay Area. JP Morgan Chase announced earlier this week, and Wells Fargo announced last December, that they also have plans for similar technology. BMO Harris, a Canadian bank, implemented 900 such ATMs in the U.S. starting last March, so they already exist here. And cardless ATMs have been, according to Wired, used in Spain since 2011. So we'll talk a little more about how this technology works, whether it's a good idea or not, but it looks like something that's going to be rolled out, at least here in the U.S., extensively. And you Spaniards out there in the audience have been using it for years. Sony raised operating profit 11% year over year to 202.1 billion yen. That's equivalent to about $1.69 billion US, thanks to a 10.5% rise in video game revenue and cost cutting to its mobile unit. Sony Pictures also saw revenue rise 26.9%. Sony's insurance division was profitable as well. Its devices business, which is not its mobile unit. The mobile unit is the one with the phones. The devices unit, which makes image sensors and batteries, was down 12.6%, a result of slower, higher-end smartphone sales in general. So we're not talking about Sony's own phones, just people aren't buying as many smartphones, so Sony can't sell as many image sensors to the manufacturers of those smartphones. Sony is budgeting for a fall in demand for sensors for high-end smartphones in 2016.
On the one hand, I'm really happy to see Sony doing well, especially with some of the bumps along the way that they've had as of recent with Sony Pictures. But I'm really bummed out about this projected fall in demand for high-end sensors and smartphones, because it's because of the just dramatic drop in price of these sensors. Because of that demand, that we've been able to see other cool technologies that are completely smartphone unrelated take off, like literally take off, like drones, for instance, are benefiting from the accelerometers and gyroscopes and magnetometers that are inside of our smartphones. And because of such demand, that those prices were driven down and that they get smaller and more accessible and easier to program with and things of that nature. So it's just, I just imagine, like, the more sensors get integrated, the more we can actually utilize these things, the more benefits we'll see outside of that arena. We were talking about it recently with, I actually don't remember the name of the technology. It was it Tango? It's Google's thing with the stereoscopic LiDAR.
Yeah, Project Tango, right.
Yes, and I really hope that we see an uptick of that again, because these things benefit everybody across the board.
Yeah, and it's it is one of those things where as everyone has a smartphone, that means that fewer smartphones have to be built because people are replacing their smartphones less often, and people are buying smartphones for the first time less often, which means the parts might get more expensive.
Yeah,
oddly enough, in the short term. That's a really good point.
There's a potential future where our smartphones may have to go to summer school.
Yeah,
they're falling behind.
Remedial. Yeah. As we mentioned yesterday, Amazon had its best quarterly profit ever, but missed expectations, so it took a little bit of a beating by the Wall Street folks. The other big concern, besides the profitability, was shipping costs. Shipping costs increased 24.4% year over year for Amazon. On the earnings call, Amazon Chief Financial Officer Brian Olsavsky said that the shipping carriers just can't handle all the capacity Amazon needs. So the question has become, will Amazon become a shipper? Will they start competing with FedEx and UPS? Olsavsky said, we've had to add more of our own logistics to supplement our partners, and they have leased planes and bought trucks, but he says they're to supplement our partners, not to replace them.
Yeah. As somebody who does a lot of shipping, I can tell you from experience that it's typical that you see like close to a 5% increase in shipping rates across all of the carriers every year. This year in particular has been pretty crazy in the realm of the United States Postal Service. So not one of the main carriers for Amazon, but I know that affects all of the stuff across the board, and I'm wondering how much of that actually has to do with the likes of Amazon. personally noticed also, have you seen this? Like, have you ordered anything from Amazon Prime lately in the last week or so? But at least in the Bay Area, things that were like, overnight or second day are like becoming third and fourth day, which is
really? No, I haven't.
This is
don't think
anecdotal.
I've noticed, because I don't think I've ordered anything from Amazon Prime in the last week or two. But
sure, this is just anecdotal, but it's the first time in my entire history of using Amazon Prime that I've noticed things actually taking a day or so longer, being advertised as shipping in longer days, or not meeting the day that they were supposed to arrive and showing up the next day. I wonder if that's a strain on the carriers as much as, there's like the little tiny voice that's always like, oh, I wonder what their contracts with their carriers are like, if they can show these bottlenecks. I'm sure there's maybe potential ways that they can get out of certain clauses to set themselves up to be a carrier. I mean, we've seen them make moves infrastructure-wise in the past, and honestly, as a consumer, do you care if it's the UPS guy or the FedEx guy that shows up with the Prime box with the cool tape that says Prime over and over, or whatever, it's the Prime guy, or if it's
my dog barks at him either way. It doesn't matter whether they come out of an unmarked white van, which sometimes happens disturbingly, or if they're a courier, or it's DHL, or it's that company that's contracted by the USPS to fill in gaps. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, no. I mean, when it shows up by, oh man, what are those? I know the unmarked van you're talking about. The unmarked white van. It shows up in my driveway quite often.
That's your van, Darren.
Oh, right. On track is what I was thinking.
On track, yeah.
Yes. Anyway, so yeah, honestly, I don't think the consumers care.
And Amazon saying we've had to add more of our own logistics to supplement our partners, not to replace them, does not rule out the idea that Amazon might grow into a shipper eventually. They're not saying we'll never be a shipper. They're saying this isn't why we're building this. Same reason they started adding servers. They didn't intend to become Amazon Web Services when they started Amazon as a bookseller in the 90s. But gosh, eventually they started to realize they were pretty good at doing that web serving stuff, and so they turned it into a business.
Which is the same thing that, like, we were just talking about, was it last week or the week before, about export from from Asia. They were like getting into that because they're like, hey, we're really good at doing this. We built this infrastructure. Maybe we'll let some other people use it.
Yeah. Finally, this final story is probably one I wouldn't do if my wife didn't work for YouTube and work particularly closely with the Fine brothers, but it got lots of votes on our subreddit, and I don't want to be seen as biased if I ignored it, so I thought I'd at least present it here. SethBrower posted the story from Mashable that the Fine brothers, who do the React channel, kids react, parents react, YouTubers react, announced this week that they will license 11 of their show formats and trademarks for others to make. In other words, they said, if you want to make a kids react show, we'll give you the rights to use that format and our trademark. A lot of users looked at this and said, well, wait a minute, anybody can make a reaction video. And users like Austin Rivers on Reddit said, the Fine brothers and YouTube are now attempting to copyright reaction videos, something that existed before they joined YouTube. On Twitter, the Fine brothers wrote, we're not saying we hold a copyright on reaction videos overall. No one can. We're licensing our specific shows like TV has done for years.
So as opposed to the concept of like, Tom, you've been doing shows about tech news on a daily basis for a while now. So this would be, as opposed to you, for instance, saying like, I would like to start licensing anybody who would also like to present tech news on a daily basis. This would be you saying like, oh, you want to do day 8 of DTNS, I'll license you the DTNS brand.
Again, my wife works for YouTube. She's friends with the Fine brothers, so maybe you shouldn't listen to anything I say. But the way I look at this, it's a confusion between copyright and trademark. What the Fine brothers are saying is what you're saying, Darren, which is, hey, we've got a show. If you would like to do a version of our show, we'll give you permission for that, which you need because it's our show. They're not saying if you want to do a show that is around the same concept, you need our permission.
Are you saying if I wanted to open up a Radio Shack, I wouldn't have to join Radio Shack corporate, that I could become a franchise somehow?
Well, yeah, it's kind of what the Fine brothers are doing. It's a little bit, there's lots of differences, but it's generally the same concept, which is, anybody can open a shack that sells radios, but if you want to lay it out like Radio Shack and call it Radio Shack, you got to get Radio Shack's permission.
I like it.
Yeah. So anyway, that is that. Thank you to everyone who submits on our subreddit. It usually helps us, and it did today for sure in lots of ways. Let us know what you want us to talk about. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. Get in there and vote. In fact, if you heard stories today that you're like, and I'm not talking about the YouTube story, but you're like, why'd they talk about that instead of this other thing? And you didn't vote in the subreddit, well, get over there and vote. Submit stories and vote on them. dailytechnewsshow.reddit.com. That is a look at the headlines. All right, so cardless ATMs, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, Chase, the big banks in the United States are doing this. As we mentioned, already exists in other parts of the world. There are a few different methods that are being tried. The BMO method, that's the Canadian bank I mentioned that is already doing this at 900 ATMs in the US, lets you select an amount in your app once you're logged in. Then you tap mobile cash on their ATM display, and you use your phone camera to read a QR code off the display, and that lets the phone and the ATM machine talk to each other and get you your cash. Two different approaches are being tested by Chase. One is you authenticate on your app, and then it gives you a 7-digit access code that you enter to the ATM. That was apparently easier to update the ATM's firmware to handle. And that 7-digit access code is different every time. So even if somebody looks over your shoulder, it's not going to do them any good after you've used it. The other is to build NFC-equipped ATMs, and that requires a hardware change, that would work like Apple Pay or Android Pay or any of those NFC payment systems so that you could just hold your phone up, authenticate, and get the money that way. Darren, what do you think of all this?
I am so excited for this, but I think we should also clarify right off the bat that we're not talking about completely cardless. I'm assuming the ATMs will still accept your card.
That is a good point, yes.
They'll probably still have card slots. Yes, that would be good. Okay, so the first three thoughts here is that currently what we have is a really pathetic system of what you have and what you know with a very long symmetric key that is your credit card number or your debit card number, I guess, in this case, and then the PIN code, which is just pathetic. This alternative actually adds many more factors of authentication, not just that, we're going to send you this code and you type this code in or scan this picture, but also the fact that it is layered security. And that's really, a lot of times when we talk about security, that's one of the things that you have to take into account is we're always mitigating threats by adding layers and things of that nature. So, you figure if you actually have a pretty locked down phone, this adds more security than your existing infrastructure of just having your debit card, which is fantastic. It does lend itself to some more sophisticated phishing scams, possibilities of that. Not just phishing scams too. If I get, say, root access on your phone, it's not inconceivable that I couldn't also launch your Chase app and get the code and then type it into an ATM. That said, what's most exciting about this, though, is the fact that, if I was a bank, there's basically, if I were to do this, I wouldn't want to have to spend a lot of money. Like the NFC solution, that costs money to implement. But by doing it with what I already have, I can just do it in software, which forces these banks to update the software that's running on their ATMs so that we no longer see Windows XP blue screens or, dear God, Windows 3.1 mouse cursors and such on
Although, does it make them upgrade the underlying operating system?
No, you're right. Actually, what this does is this gives work to Visual Basic 4 programmers that know Windows OLE. Yeah. That's wishful thinking on my part, is actually that this forces them to upgrade their software. That notwithstanding, I think about this and I'm like, okay, well, why would a bank do this, right? There is the concept of keeping up with the Joneses, but honestly, a bank wouldn't be doing this if it weren't going to get anything of value for it. So far in any of the articles that we've looked at, there's no mention of like a service fee for using such a thing. But when you think about it, obviously it requires their app. Their app is going to require certain permissions, and there is a ton of data mining that can be done on the smartphone. That intrinsic value that the bank can use elsewhere, or it can use it as, it is a very personal platform, your smartphone. Fantastic place to start offering some of the bank's other services that they can then monetize that way.
And I think another advantage that the banks get is reduction of fraud. At least they're hoping so. So if like you say, the opportunities for phishing are the majority problem here, I would imagine that the fraud incidents will still go down because you won't be subjected to skimmers if you're using your phone. Those are those attachments that go on and read your card data, and you don't even know they're there. And you wouldn't be subject to somebody stealing your PIN by looking over your shoulder or pointing a camera and checking out PIN numbers. So they might bet that they'll lose less money in fraud, right?
Oh, no, absolutely. And that's, because they end up eating the costs at the end of the day for that stuff anyway. So it's absolutely, there's that benefit as well. That's one that I hadn't even thought of. One of the other things I thought of when first looking at this was, what about the interoperability? And from what I understand, I'm not completely versed in this. I asked Shannon because she used to work at a bank about this, and she pointed out the Cirrus thing as far as like interoperability between banks. Like I can take a Bank of America card to a Chase ATM and get money out, and obviously it's in the bank's best interest to kind of keep you tied to their platform, or maybe we do see some sort of standardization down the road if the benefit is that they get more data from your phone.
Yeah, a BMO in the Wired article was saying they are open to standardization. They would love to do the NFC thing, but they want a wider ecosystem available before they invest in it.
Yeah.
So there's that aspect of it. BioCow in the chat room, who by the way works in this industry, says that both NCR and Diebold ATM makers already have or are working on software updates to support the BMO version of ATM, so that could help interoperability. And he says another plus to this is it's super fast. You can have your cash in less than 10 seconds.
That's nice. Would you? This is what it comes down to. Would you change banks over this, Tom?
No, I wouldn't.
Yeah.
I rely on credit unions because they treat me better, and one of my credit unions doesn't have the ability to scan a check in, and I haven't switched because of that. I know it'll come eventually. My old credit union didn't have an app when everybody else had apps for a while. Now they do. So I mean, to me, the reliability and the way the bank treats the customer is more important. But I don't know if that's true for a lot of people. A lot of people may, if not switch banks, they may not use other ATMs and use the ATMs from their own bank more often, which I think is also in the bank's best interest.
Yeah, and to BioCav's point, if NCR and Diebold, some third parties offering these solutions, that's not to say that those couldn't just be offered to those credit unions as well. So the last point that I was thinking about on this was, here's what I'm kind of excited about, actually, is the fact that I'm one of those people. I don't know if you're one of these people. If you can't see the video, I use one of those smartphone cases where you can put your credit cards in. And I know it's a terrible thing, and I've in fact actually left my phone with my wallet and my ID in a cab in Vegas. Did get it back. So anyway, don't follow by my example, but I know this is becoming more and more popular. I'm seeing people like in line at the Starbucks pulling out their iPhone with their wallet case. It's like I only keep 2 cards with me, ID and debit card. I would love to get that down to 1. And it's just, this is another example of the further, I don't know if there's a good term for this, but like it's the omni device that the smartphone is becoming. Imagine some, techno dystopian future where digital birth certificates and stuff. But it's actually not that kind of crazy when you think about the fact that at least here in California, I'm legally allowed to use the Geico app as my insurance card. So if I get pulled over by a police officer, I've done it, and I've pulled up the app, and there's my proof of insurance. And the same goes, Delaware and California are both doing pilot programs this year for digital versions of driver's licenses. So this is just, again, one more thing that's an app on your phone rather than a card in your wallet.
Well, and most of these cards are merely conduits for information, for numbers for the most part, maybe pictures in the case of a driver's license. And your phone can do that. And in some ways, it's less secure. In some ways, it's more secure because I can lose my phone, I guess, too. But somebody can just grab that card and get the number off of it. If I have a properly secured phone, those numbers are a little bit harder to get at.
Yeah, if I steal your debit card, Tom, I'm not going to be thwarted by the lock screen.
No, exactly.
Yeah. And I'm not going to have the problem where if I try to factory reset your debit card, that I'm going to have to try to change your password or wait 3 days, like you do with like Marshmallow.
One of my credit cards just got reissued with the chip on it, and they put the number on the back of the credit card, and I was laughing. I was like, "What does that do?"
Why even?
Yeah.
Because we need to inspire consumer confidence so they'll keep spending.
Ooh, the number's not on the front anymore.
You know what? Everybody would just go spend all your money right now.
Yeah.
Just to let banks know you care.
Well, thank you, BioCow, for the insights in the chat room, and this is one of those things where I'm looking forward to seeing how it works, and I think it's got a lot of upside to it.
Yeah,
so
it's an interesting response too to like the Apple Pays and the Bit Pays and the.
I'm starting to see NFC transactions in more places than I used to. And I mean small places, not big chain places. So like the dog bakery near my house now takes Apple Pay, which means it also takes Android Pay.
Do they take Samsung Pay?
Yeah, why wouldn't it?
Oh, do they take Hack 5 Pay?
I imagine they would knit their eyebrows a little if I asked them.
Mm-hmm. That's what we need to get everybody on.
Yeah. Yes, you do need to get everyone on.
DTNS is coming next year, right?
Yeah. Our pick of the day comes from Daniel Christensen in Chile, Racine, Wisconsin, who said, I loved that you brought up JCR Licklighter on the podcast last Friday. His story is incredible, and many listeners of your show would likely enjoy The Dream Machine, JCR Licklighter, and the revolution that made computing personal. And we'll have a link to that in our show notes as well. But if you'd like to read up more about that, and the roots of machine learning and AI, definitely check it out. Thank you, Daniel. Send your picks to us, folks. Feedback at dailytechnewsshow.com. You can find more picks at dailytechnewsshow.com/picks. Tyler in rapidly thawing New Jersey liked our discussion on Microsoft software solution. He had one question, though. Who decided Microsoft would provide the solution? Each state party, the national parties, some nonpartisan election commission, Microsoft itself. He said it's not unusual for one tech company unilaterally to provide a solution to a government project, but usually this is part of a lengthy and public bidding process. So I looked it up, and it was the individual parties who it sounds like Microsoft approached and said, hey, state parties of Iowa, we would like to provide this service for your caucus, and they all agreed that they would try it out this year. It's not a government project, though. And this gets lost in our election fury every year. I feel like more and more. The party nomination systems are party nominations. Any party that can get on the ballot can nominate their candidate however they want. There's no government bidding process. So if the Republican Party wanted to just go and hire someone without a bidding process to do a different election system, they could. It's nothing against the law. It's their party.
Mm-hmm. I think you also have to consider the fact that the caucus is the Super Bowl for a different demographic, and this isn't, it's not just Microsoft. We're seeing YouTube and Twitter and any other, company that wants to get in front of those eyeballs. This is a great medium for that.
Yeah, and so the fact that they didn't do a bidding process doesn't run afoul of any laws. This is Microsoft going to the state parties saying we'd like to provide the solution for free. The state parties vetting it, saying yeah, it sounds good, and going through the optics of saying both parties will agree to it, both parties will make it transparent how it's working. And as I said yesterday, again, my only objection is make the source code open so we can all see how it works. Isaac said, no one has said thus far, but I think the real usage of the Beats premium brand for Apple will be to launch their virtual reality product. Beats is already a premium priced audio product. By adding VR screens, they could introduce a product that can be big headphones when not in use. I then suspect the launch would have 2 or 3 models at the $500 to $800 range and have VR apps built into the devices. Think a modern QuickTime VR. The Beats VR set would connect with the latest Bluetooth and work on all current iOS and macOS devices. And he has a link to Avegant, which is a VR screen that you can watch movies with, but then you pop it up on top of your head and it works as headphones.
Yeah, no, I've absolutely seen these where it's just... It's an interesting concept, but the question is, why would Apple use the Beats brand instead of their own? Like that was always like the weirdest thing. Apple, okay, so and not to rehash the whole Beats thing, but they did such a fantastic job with the white earbuds with the launch of the iPod that them to then have to buy a company to get that cool again. Would they then still use that company's namesake? With the launch of a, hypothetical
It's a great
VR.
question, and it's a bigger question than just VR, which is what is the future of the Beats name within Apple? But for some reason, when I saw the Beats VR name written down in Isaac's email, I'm like, yeah, I could absolutely see them do that and just turn Beats into I or E,
Oh,
which is, like
okay,
it just becomes one of their prefixes that they start to use.
That'd be interesting. So imagine a world where Apple uses the Beats brand as kind of like a test bed for new technology so that it doesn't have to muck up the Apple side of things. Oh, and then they could reincorporate both of them under XYZ to compete with Alphabet.
And then they could do the Beats Mac.
Okay, we're done. We're so done.
We're not quite done, actually. T2T2, who does a fantastic job providing the service that runs our chat room. I always have a hard time figuring out how to properly describe it because there's tons of people that make the chat room work as well as it does.
Join t2t2.eu. I can never remember chatroom.net for some reason.
Yeah. So that is he is the underpinnings of this. He's also Estonian, lives in Estonia, and very kindly translated a recent article. He said, with all the drone regulation talks, I saw a blog post that writes about what the laws in Estonia are for drones. I can't really send it raw because it's written in a language that only 1.3 million people, about 3 DTNS listeners probably, can understand. So he translated the full post and edited it a little for relevancy. We'll include that full post translation in the show notes. But Darren, you were looking this over. What do you think of the maximum height of 150 meters from the ground and the difference between open flight areas and forbidden flight areas, and generally the rules that they have here?
What's great is they have rules. They have them. They're like, hey, people are doing a thing. Let's tell them how to do it. It's almost like sensible rules. If you made them, people would follow them. I don't know. It's not just Estonia either, and these are very sensible rules. But even the UK did this. And very similarly, the UK came up with rules for drones that was, I keep saying drones, but I mean unmanned aerial systems or small UAS or model aircraft, whatever have you. But their rules were, stay under 400 feet and keep your craft under 2.5 kilograms. So very similar to 150 meters or 500 feet. And you know what happened in the UK? Because they had sane regulations, because they had laws that people could actually follow, people followed them. And then that led to the UK's aviation board, I forget the name of it, saying, hey, you guys have been great for 18 months incident-free. Now you can go up to 1,000 feet and you can go up to 3.5 kilograms. And yet in the United States we have illegal mandates from the FAA for drone registration with exemptions for 250 grams. Like, that's unfathomable how if they had just not dragged their feet for years, as the FAA has done, and just come out with sensible regulations, even if they knew they would need to revise them later, then we'd all just be playing by the rules instead of breaking the unknown code.
One of the things about the drone registration is, to me, the benefits would be it is educational. So I only have to register once, and then I can apply that number to all of my UAVs or UASs. However, to be educational, you need to have a good set of rules to educate people on. So you're pointing out a deficiency in my logic there, I think.
Yeah, well, okay, so no, I'm pointing out the fact that the UK has done it. If you go to fpvuk.org, there's an amazing page on, and I've linked it in IRC, and I'll put it in the doc, but there's an amazing 1.5-minute video that gives you the gist of the laws in the UK, and it's really sensible. Here's what it is. Stay under 1,000 feet, stay under 3.5 kilograms, stay 50 meters away from buildings and people. Boom, done.
Yeah. I mean, and the Estonian rules that are described here are a little more elaborate than that, but they're not hard to understand, which is basically anywhere that's an open flight area, you can fly up to 150 meters. Doesn't matter where you are. If it's an open flight area, 150 meters. Then there are controlled areas where you need to get a flight permit, and that costs you 45 euros, and you have to file it. That is around the capital, Tallinn, around some of the smaller airports. And then there are forbidden areas, which are near the airports, within 1 or 2 kilometers of the airports, and you're not allowed to fly there at all. So there's really only 3 things to consider. Am I in an open flight area? Am I in a controlled area? Or am I in a forbidden area? And then I do whatever those areas require.
And you keep using the UK as an example, but it's like this for the vast majority of Europe because they didn't drag their feet. They just came out with sensible laws, and I'm sure they'll revise them. I mean, in this case, the UK revised them to make them even friendlier to drone operators because they were being good. They have the same kind of principle where you do need to get permission if, say, for instance, it's for commercial photography or something of that nature. But it's a sensible thing where you go and you fill out a form and you get permission.
Yeah.
So I don't understand why we can't have that here. There was a tweet recently from Chris Henderson of 3D Robotics, who's I guess one of the biggest drone makers in the United States, with their version of their app that very sensibly shows you if you're within 5 nautical miles of an airport, which is really great. I pointed out, however, that his screenshot of the Bay Area is a little inaccurate in that we have all of these idiosyncrasies where all of these different jurisdictions try to make their own laws, whereas, for instance, East Bay Parks have a regulation against flying drones there. But then again, theirs is you can't fly from the park. So I guess if you take off from outside the park, you can fly through it.
Yeah.
It's just too messy here.
Well, again, getting back to the Estonian rules, when you fly, if you are flying with a permit, now if you're in an open flight area, you just fly. If you're flying with a permit, you call to let them know you're starting your flight. You call to finish your flight. They're like, if you're changing batteries, don't call. But just at the beginning and end of your flight, call us, and you have to be contactable so that if they're like, hold on, we have a change in conditions, we need you to ground, they can ground you, and that something like a fire or something could be a condition for that. Also, you're not allowed to fly around crowds, so they just have a provision in there. If there's a crowd of people, then you need a permit to fly around, and in most cases, we're not going to let you fly around a crowd of people, so without special permission. So there you go. I mean, it all makes sense. All of the things that Darren has had to say to explain, like the Bay Area, just the Bay Area, compared to this is kind of crazy.
Yeah, I mean, well, even since 1983, the FAA has had a memorandum that acknowledges the voluntary guidelines set forth by model aircraft clubs that are very sane and sensible, but they just weren't ratified as laws, and they're actually the same exact stuff, standard 400 feet away from airport, things of that nature. And even in those, there's brilliant YouTube videos of people, trying to follow the rules, which are to say, if you're going to fly anywhere near an airport, give a call to the control tower operators and let them know and so there's great videos of like people like so I'm going to be flying my hub sand in my backyard, whatever, and they're like, what do we do with you? We don't even know how.
Well, I said to call, so I called. Well, that is it for this episode of Daily Tech News Show. Thank you, Darren Kitchen. HAK5.org is going loud and strong. What do you got going on over there these days?
Oh, man, so much good stuff. We have been doing a ton of development on the new Wi-Fi Pineapple. The Wi-Fi Pineapple Nano is out. We're doing a lot of videos on that, on all of the various stuff. We've got a very active community developing modules and stuff for that. On the shows, Shannon and I did a great one on Netcat. If you're interested in doing some advanced stuff with, it's not just Netcat, it's just advanced fun stuff you can do with TCP. And I would like to tell you a joke about TCP. Otherwise, we got good stuff on VPNs. Shannon's doing some fantastic stuff with TechThing, so always check that out. HAK5.org is where you can find all the shows.
HAK5.org. Len Peralta, what are you drawing?
Well, I told you before the show, pre-show, Tom, that it's probably the weirdest thing I've ever drawn for this show, and I've drawn some pretty weird things. This is about as weird as it gets. You had the story about cardless ATMs, and at some point every week when I'm drawing this, I'm thinking to myself, I got to have an idea, and I'm going to have to go with this idea. And so I decided to go with it. This, for those of you who are on audio, I'll have to describe it to you. If you remember from the 80s... Can you
describe it? Can you really?
I'm going to try my best to describe it to you. If you remember from the 80s, there was a Calvin Klein ad with Brooke Shields.
I remember.
Yeah,
I'm old.
Exactly. And it was and the line was, you want to know what comes between me and my Calvin Kleins? Nothing. And it was sort of an infamous little ad there. And I don't know, the first thing that came to my mind when I was talking about wallets and digital wallets is that it would, it would replace this huge thing in the back of your pocket. So so there you go. The image is of Tom dressed sort of like Brooke Shields from that ad, pulling the cardless his phone out of his back pocket, and the line says, "You want to know what comes between me and my digital wallet? Nothing." It's an ad for cardless
Seamless.
Klein jeans.
Seamless. The only thing that is hard to believe about your drawing is that I don't own Calvin Klein jeans or a red shirt.
I know. I had
But
to,
otherwise, it's perfectly believable.
I have to sort of yeah. It was strange drawing you in something a little bit different, Tom. But you
Yeah.
know what? It was refreshing. It was refreshing for me. Hey, not everything I draw makes sense, and this is a perfect example of it. I'm sorry, people. I'm sorry.
If you want to risk seeing me in a Brooke Shields-like pose as drawn by Len Peralta, head over to lenperaltastore.com,
Yeah.
folks. You can even buy one yourself.
Yeah, and also I want to mention that I am running a Patreon as well, patreon.com/Len. If you are interested, there is a level on that Patreon where you can get every single digital image, including this one, as a digital file. And it certainly helps me out. It's a lot cheaper than buying them as a physical print. But hey, you have choices. You have choices, just like I had a choice to do this, and I went ahead and did it. So there
Thank
you
you,
go.
Len. No, it's hilariously fantastic.
Thank
I
you
love
so
it.
much.
I love the callback. I love it. I'm a sucker for a good parody to begin with. So
Yeah, thank you. Thank you.
yeah. So check it out, folks, lenperaltastore.com. Thank you to everyone who supports the show at dailytechnewsshow.com/support. If you would like to make sure the show keeps going, if you get some value out of the show, if you just want to pledge in order to ensure that I never actually stand like that in real life, head to dailytechnewsshow.com/support or patreon.com/DTNS. Coming up Saturday at dailytechnewsshow.com. Don't forget the weekly Tech Views post from Movie League Mike that will summarize in hilarious fashion all the events of this week. Our email address is feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. Give us a call, 512-59-DAILY. That's 593-2459. Catch the show live Monday through Friday, 4:30 p.m. Eastern at alphageekradio.com and diamondclub.tv. And visit our website, dailytechnewsshow.com. Back on Monday with Veronica Belmont. Talk to you then.
This show is part of the Frog Pants Network. Get more at frogpants.com.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.
Boom.
You know, Tom, I heard that when you get to 15,000, you're doing the Brooke Shields poster for the Brook level.
The Brook level.
You know,
What do you think
I
would
almost
get us
did
there
not do this.
faster? Me promising not to do that pose?
No, I heard that it was going to be you doing it.
If we get to this level by March 1st, I won't pose like that, people. Hurry up and pledge.
Well, what if you raise it by another like 5,000? Say you'll get a bunny.
Well, what you should do is put a perk level where it's your choice. You split the two RS15. One gets it and one doesn't. It's the new album art.
Yeah, it's A/B testing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you know, I didn't want to do anything that was like, oh, it's a cardless ATM. I don't know. The very first thing I thought of was like, oh, I won't have this huge wallet in my back pocket anymore, which is kind of dumb because most people don't. But I just thought it would be kind of a funny thing.
Do you
I
keep
hope
your
you weren't
wallet in your
offended,
back
though.
pocket?
Oh, man. I had the sciatic thing. I had to move.
I don't even carry a wallet anymore.
Yeah,
it's
see.
actually in my phone. It's like it's on my hip actually now, which is
You're one of us, right? Are you doing the phone wallet thing too?
no. You know what? That's a cool. No, I have this stupid thing on my belt, which is I still haven't come up with the best idea for
You
it.
holster your
But my
wallet.
son,
Oh.
I do.
Oh.
Yeah, my son has something on the back of his phone where he puts all his pertinent information.
Yeah, that's what
in
Darren's
there.
got, I think.
Yeah.
Wait,
cool.
do you guys still pay for most of your purchases with cash, or no?
No.
I
use-
never brought up the cash thing, Darren.
Oh,
Damn it.
I'm
man,
sorry.
what a post-show delight that we'll have to chew on.
No,
Well,
I was gonna taunt Darren and say like, yeah, but will we even need cash in the future? This ATM thing is a waste of time.
Well, no, because then that brings us the fragmentation of do I Dwallo you or do I cash you or do I PayPal you?
I'm just gonna Venmo you anyway.
Well, why? I'm using fake Venmo. It's the best.
What?
No, you haven't seen fake Venmo. There's an amazing college humor YouTube video about fake Venmo where you can it works just like the Venmo app, except it doesn't do anything. Like, oh look, I just see it shows it right there. I just did it.
I just Venmo'd you. Oh, great, thanks. Wait, what?
In like 2 days.
Do you even carry like bucks? Nothing. Not even
Do you even
that.
carry what?
Do you even carry like $20 or like $5 in cash or nothing?
Oh no, in my actual. So here's the thing. This is just my everyday carry kind of phone with wallet with
Roger
debit
wants
card
to mug
and,
Darren. That's
and-
why he's asking.
Well, no, it's just
But I do have a proper wallet. It just carries passports, journals, the additional credit cards that I don't use often. But yes, cashy cash, and look at me rolling hard with my one.
Oh,
Bless up.
There
Bless up.
making it rain, Washingtons.
Boom.
Major key.
I have a fat wallet, and I keep
PHAT.
Show us your credit card numbers, Roger.
Yeah, hashtag that new credit card.
I carry a fat wallet. But most of that is business cards, but I still pay for 90% of my purchases with cash.
Do you
You're
keep
the
that
guy
in your
in front
back
of me in
pocket? Roger,
line.
do you keep that in your back pocket?
No, I keep it in my front pocket because I've been pickpocketed before.
Yeah,
Oh.
yeah. I don't even carry. If I carry cash, it's in my pocket.
Yeah.
My wife doesn't like to carry cash, which means I have to.
Well, she also works at YouTube. So
They just
I
make
used
it
to be
rain
the
cash
back-
whenever they want.
Yeah, I was the back pocket wallet guy too until the sciatic nerve thing. So it's all front pocket. But if I'm not even carrying my wallet, which is mainly just my journal anyway, it's just cash in the pocket.
Yeah.
I love spending cash.
Got
It feels
cash.
so much better.
I never have cash ever. I am cash poor.
I always feel like somehow I'm getting something for free when I spend cash. It feels amazing.
Really?
It's like, haha, transaction fee. I don't even know.
I use it because it's actually a really good leash on how I spend.
Yes.
Like,
Oh yeah, I tried that once. Didn't work out so well on Amazon.
Hey, what's our title for this cash-free episode gonna
Well, we've got spooky charging at a distance. The beats go on. People familiar with the state of matter.
That has nothing to do with the show, but I love
Yeah.
it.
b-
be? Banksy Pay.
Yeah, if Darren were a bank, yadle diddle 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 dee.
Cash from your pocket.
Cash from your pocket. App
Point,
tap,
shoot,
tap.
take. I like point, shoot, take cash.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go with point, shoot, take cash because I
Hack
need it
5
right now.
pay.
I don't even know I have so many cards.
Len, when are you coming out with yours, man? I want to start using Len Pay.
Oh,
Lenmo.
man. Yeah, Lenmo would be great.
Yeah.
That'd be
Do you have
terrific.
gift cards on the Shopify store?
No. Oh, no, I don't. I don't have
Yeah,
that.
don't. It's way to fraud. Yeah, made that mistake once. Don't do it.
I got to come up with something for Valentine's Day, though. I was thinking maybe something nice for the ladies.
When I worked at Half Price Books, I can't remember what the term was. I think it was a year, but they put an expiration date on their gift certificates. And inevitably, like once every 2 months, somebody'd come in with an expired gift certificate, and we'd have to go through this whole dance of me saying, "I'm sorry, your gift certificate's expired," and they're saying, "But I spent cash. This is as good as cash." And then a manager coming out and saying, "Okay, this one time." It's like, why did we put expiration dates on them? Why?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of dumb.
Well, that's the thing is like if you think you're gonna get one over on them, like yeah, sure that may work for like Ruby Tuesday gift cards that you buy at the drugstore or something.
Yeah.
But that's like a nameless corporation. You know, if you're like a little mom and pop bookstore, you're gonna stand there and tell someone like, you know, I know you're a good customer, Bob, and I see you here every Thursday, but you know, you're getting screwed.
You know, the bathroom's really dirty whenever you ask for the key. So,
Yeah.
I feel like the idea was enough people will look at the expiration date and go, "Oh, I can't use this; it's expired." That they'd make a little extra cash that way.
Or urge them to use it soon.
Yeah, and they don't have to carry it on the books. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh
I'm
man.
just sad that it's too late. Every single year, I'm like, oh, I should have done pineapple boxer shorts, and then I forget. So next year. 2017 will be the year of pineapple boxers.
Word.
Yeah, it's like Linux on the desktop. Next year, man.
Ken just made my day. Ken on Twitter said, I really like your Snapchats where you ask Sawyer tech questions.
Oh, yeah, those are cute.
Wait, how did I not see those? Wait, are you supposed to get notifications?
No, you just have to go look at my story.
Wait, I have to. It's push instead of pull.
Well, for my story, it is. Yeah. If I send you something directly to you, then it would be push. Then
I see how it is, Tom. You're not sending them to me.
No, I don't send them to anybody. I just put them in my story.
I still feel left out.
Fine, I'll start sending you every one until you tell me, Tom, you can stop that now. Yeah, I've been trying to tease the topic of that day's DTNS by asking Sawyer what he thinks about it.
Yeah, that was cute.
Thanks.
I wish there were a way to know if people were actually watching your story.
You can look and see how many what the people are. You click on my story on the little 3 dots to the right, and that expands.
Oh, it shows who's
and it shows you. It has a little eye with a number, and then you can tap that eye, and it shows you who they are.
I gotta tell you, Snapchat is not very. It's not very intuitive at all. Maybe it's just because I'm an old guy. I don't.
That's what I always assume about myself. So I don't know.
I feel like we need like a whole channel of like middle-aged people use tech.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, there it is. People. You can see who watched it. Weird.
You can see exactly who watched it, or the number.
Yeah, you can see exactly who watched it.
Oh, creepy. What if YouTube implemented that and you could actually see like every single account that watched your video?
I bet you could somehow.
Oh, I mean, I'm sure
it's in the analytics somewhere. It's in the analytics, I bet.
No, it shows you the number of viewers, but I can't see that Tom Merritt watched my video.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, you push the little button and then everything shows up, and then you push the eye.
You know why they don't do that?
Why?
That would be the death of naked people videos.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Well, I don't think they have those on YouTube, though.
Yeah, they don't.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, if the trend in the video space moved towards the ability to see who watched what, then I don't necessarily think that that would be good.
Well, it's not that the information's not there. It's just not presented to the user. I mean, obviously, they tell Eileen every day, exactly who watched it.
It's the longest meeting in the world. She complains about it all the time. They read the names of every single person.
And then
takes forever.
Status 1 watched, and then Shaky 0 watched. And
like,
then
yes, Ace Detect, right? I know what he watched. He watched what?
BioCow skipped through it.
She comes over and tells me who skipped through DTNS.
Yeah.
Yeah, right? Oh my gosh.
By the way, for people who are still listening, if anybody's in the San Antonio area and is going to PAX South this weekend, stop by the Steve Jackson Games booth, and they have very, very limited numbers of the guest artist edition, the Len Peralta edition of Star Munchkin.
Oh, that's sweet.
They had it's really cool. If you check my Twitter feed, there's an actual picture. It says "Celebrate 15 years of Munchkin with Len Peralta." It's like they didn't even tell me they were doing this big poster. So I'm like, oh man, that's so super cool. So PAX South, if you're there, make sure you check it out. I think you can also play it, which is it's the exact same game if you've ever played Star Munchkin, but it's my art. And,
so on your way to We Have Concerns at PAX South, pick up the Munchkin version by Len Peralta.
That's right. All right, I gotta get going.
All right, man.
Enjoy spaghetti.
What's for dinner, Chef Len?
What's good, Chef Len?
Egg white toast, of course, water. Don't forget
of course, water.
He's drinking more than
they
water.
Don't want
He's
you
also
to drink
drinking
water.
Ciroc too, so drinking lots of Ciroc.
Responsibly.
Dude's drinking so much Ciroc, and then he hits the.
You never see him actually take more than a little sip of it.
No. I don't even know if he's drinking it. He usually is drinking water, but so many water bottles in that house, like so many plastic water bottles. I just get a glass. If I were Chef D, I'd be like, Caleb, would you just get a glass? I'm sick of picking up these water bottles all the time.
Yeah, I kind of want to know what her life is like.
Who's Chef D?
Always there.
Yeah.
Did
Well,
she
he,
get,
you know, it's funny.
Off Snapchat.
The weird thing is that you watch it and you kind of sort of know the layout of his house, right?
Yeah.
Because he comes down every morning on that elevator. So there's like some sort of elevator he's on. Then he walks into there's that big pole and he walks into the kitchen. Very nice kitchen. Then he go outside with a lion. He has a pool. Yeah. And then his office. You ever seen his office has the elliptical? And then he was up real late at night the other night doing like bills or something. I don't know what he's doing. And then I don't know if the studio's at his house or not. But he might be going somewhere for that. But weird. He's in Miami.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think that's right.
Is it Chef Hodges?
Because where else can you jet ski to your friend's house?
Right.
It's not Chef Hodges.
Okay.
Chef Hodges. All right, I'm gonna get going. I gotta go see what DJ's up to.
All right, man.
All right, see you later.
Tell Khaled I said hey.
Hey, bless up.
What's up? More winning.
More winning every day. We got winning vibes.
The
winning
journey
vibes.
to more success.
Got spaghetti vibes.
See, you can keep Len here forever if you just talk to him like DJ Khaled.
I'm waiting for this. Once it hits SNL.
Fan love, Len.
It's over. I'm gonna buy one of them. Those they shirts. They don't want me to eat spaghetti, so I'm gonna eat spaghetti.
Yes, that would be great.
All right. Thanks everybody for watching. We'll see you later.